بجي بستانت مبرد تقارش بريكت مبرد حتى طاروش عسمانا برد بريتو نشي صاروا كده بزي
Only will make the pain stop, and that is for the snakes to feed. But their menu is a limited one. These snakes will feed only on the brains of young boys and girls. One brain for each of the snakes. The hunger will come, my lord, and with it the most terrible pain. And when it does, only the brains of children will make it stop.
Hello, my name is Mark Campbell, and this is my version of the story of Kawa and the story of Newroz. A long time ago, in between the two great rivers Euphrates and Tigris, there was a land called Mesopotamia. Above a small town and tucked into the side of the Zagros Mountains, there was an enormous stone castle with tall turrets and dark, high walls. The castle was cut out of the mountain rock. The castle gates were made from the wood of the cedar tree and carved into the shapes of winged warriors. Deep inside the castle lived a cruel Assyrian king called Dehak. His armies terrorized all the people of the land. All had been well before Dehak's rule in Mesopotamia. Previous kings had been good and kind and had encouraged the people to irrigate the land and keep their fields fertile. They ate food consisting only of bread, herbs, fruit, and nuts. It was during the reign of a king called Jemshid that things started to go wrong. He thought himself above the sun gods and began to lose favour with his people. A spirit called Ahriman the Evil seized the chance to take control. He chose Dehak to take over the throne, who then killed Jemshid and cut him in two. The evil spirit, disguised as a cook, fed Dehak with blood and the flesh of animals, and one day as Dehak complimented him on his meat dishes, he thanked him and asked to kiss the king's shoulders. As he did so, there was a great flash of light, and two giant black snakes appeared on either side of his shoulders. Dehak was terrified and tried everything he could to get rid of them. Ahriman the Evil disguised himself again, this time as a physician, and told Dehak that he would never be able to rid himself of the snakes, and that when the snakes became hungry, Dehak would feel a terrible pain, which would only be alleviated when the snakes were fed with the brains of young boys and girls. So, from that dark day onwards, 2 children were chosen from the towns and villages that lay below the castle. They were killed, and their brains were taken to the castle gates and placed into large wooden buckets made from the wood of a walnut tree and held firmly together by 3 thin bands of gold. The buckets of brains was then lifted by 2 strong guards and taken to the wicked Dehak, and the brains fed to the hungry snakes. Since the Snake King began his rule over the kingdom, the sun refused to shine. The farmers' crops, trees and flowers withered. The giant watermelons that had grown there for centuries rotted. The peacocks and partridges that used to strut around the giant pomegranate trees had left. Even the eagles that had flown high in the mountain winds had gone. Now all was dark, cold and bleak. The people all over the land were very sad. Everyone became terrified of Dehak. They sang sad and sorrowful laments that expressed their pain and plight, and the haunting sound of the long wooden flute could always be heard echoing throughout the valleys. Now there lived below the king's castle a blacksmith who made iron shoes for the famous wild horses of Mesopotamia, and pots and pans for the people of the town. His name was Kawa. He and his wife were weakened by grief and hated Dehak, as he had already taken 16 of their 17 children. Every day, sweating hot from the oven, Kawa banged his hammer on the anvil and dreamed of getting rid of the evil king. And as he banged, the red-hot metal, harder and harder, the red and yellow sparks flew up into the dark sky like fireworks and could be seen for miles around. One day, the order came from the castle that Kawa's last daughter was to be killed, and her brain was to be brought to the castle gate the very next day. Kawa lay all night on the roof of his house, under the bright stars and rays of the shining full moon, thinking how to save his last daughter from Dehak's snakes. As a shooting star curved through the night sky, he had an idea. The next morning he rode on the bare back of his horse, slowly pulling the heavy iron cart with 2 metal buckets rattling on the back. The cart climbed up the steep cobbled road and arrived outside the castle. He nervously emptied the contents of the metal buckets into the large wooden bucket outside the enormous castle gates. And as he turned to leave, he heard the gates unbolt, shudder, and slowly started to creak open. He took one last look and hurried away. The wooden bucket was then slowly lifted by 2 guards and taken into the castle.